Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tarnished Bronze, where we are delving into the esoteria of 5 years later, the Legion of Superheroes 1989 reboot. And today's issue is issue 8, and it's brought to us by Keith Giffen, the Bierbaums, Al Gordon, and a guest penciler, Chris Sprouse. So, Patrick, besides from this excellent cover, have you seen any other work of Chris Sprouse? Although Chris didn't do the cover here, but he's on the team.
Yeah, you know what? I probably have and didn't know, to be honest,
Okay.
because I until relatively recently, I probably didn't pay enough attention to the artists, and if anything, probably a little bit more to the writers than the artists. But yeah, no, I honestly I'm not sure.
Okay. So,
I'm sure you have though.
well, he's best known for Tom Strong, which is the America's Best Comics with Alan Moore. So it's kind of like instead of superheroes, if we had science heroes, really great series like 99 to 2003 or 4. So you can get that in a really great collected edition, actually. But he's also kind of responsible for those first few issues of Legionnaires, the one that you
Oh,
people kind of call the Archie book. So this is not probably the best example of his work here because it kind of really improves out of sight later on. But
it's
yeah, he
interesting you
also
said that
does
because I actually,
Supreme
yeah,
as
I do
well.
enjoy the Legionnaires artwork. I just forgot that was him. So yeah, no.
So
And I was actually going to say that one of my favorite things about this issue, and to be fair, there aren't a lot, was I do like the flashback art, and I really like the fact that they've chosen a penciler and a style that is sort of reminiscent of, say, Kurt Swan for the flashback scenes. And then that can contrast with the few panels that Keith did for this issue, where he's drawing in his new 5 years later kind of style. So I think that's very effective, and they do use that a few times in this series, and that I really probably my favorite thing about this issue is that juxtaposition of those two art styles, and using that simpler, more cartoony kind of Kurt Swan, which I love.
yeah.
Full disclosure, using that style for the flashbacks, I think that's very effective.
So in the present day, Patrick, we've got the probes, which are these sort of android people, right? And for some reason, this is how we set up the flashback. So, but someone is trying to like spy on how the is it Glorith or Mordru? Are they sort of spying on something? I'm blanking on the setup for this issue.
Oh. This is just one of so everybody has these probes. So this is Marla Latham's probe that he's just having a conversation with. Well, my question for you is, would you want a robot in your house that was talking to you, but it always looked like this?
Yeah, I do. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's the same panel pasted up 3 times, which is fantastic, really. Why try harder?
I'm o I'm okay with that if she didn't look like she was like puckering up to kiss butt or something. Like all the lips look so it's too much for me. I can't like what I can't unsee because it's not just her, it's Laurel Kent, it's Celeste
Yeah.
Rockfish, it's Cersei, it's everybody. But yeah, just what no one wanted. What are we? 8 issues into a new series that's been rebooted, counting the first issue 3 times in 3 times reboot in say the first 6 issues, and then for issue number 8 we get a fill-in story by another artist with a threadbare origin story of the Legion of Superheroes with a bunch of extraneous, uninteresting, useless details added in by the Bierbaums based on their fan fiction from the 60s and 70s that no one cares about. Yay!
Great.
Are
So
you excited as I am?
this shouldn't take much longer. I thought this was kind of fun. This like Chris Sprouse really does do that juxtaposition of that kind of 60s style really beautifully here. Um, that seems like there's a whole bunch of the Derlins going around. RJ Brand is obviously a Derlin. This is a huge sort of recap, but not content just to recap an origin story. It seems like the beer bombs have to settle old scores in these things, which fast becomes infuriating. I just thought this was a great pick here of the young Legionnaires, like you know, pre the 5 years later sort of thing. And then we get back into the issue where we see that Laurel Gand actually has a little kid. So not content to walk around in the jacket and G-string, also is mothering the next generation. So I'm sorry that we just swept through this so quickly because I want to get on to my 5 points, Patrick, or they're actually 4 points. So
Okay.
issue 1 to 3 is a reset slash reboot. Issue 4 is a retcon. Issue 5, 6, and 7 is a reboot and then a reset. And then issue 8 is a retcon and an origin. Like, what is going on with this issue? What is the point of this? Or aside from like the reveal at the last page.
Well, and if you're reading this in real time back in the day, we are 8 months in, and you're like, "What's happening with Sunboy?" Like,
Okay,
I
yeah.
don't,
So
like
for me,
I,
the first six
it,
issues is a
it's
weekend.
bizarre to me because,
Like,
like I said, say it again.
so for me, the first 6 to 8 issues is a weekend. But at the time, it would have been almost a
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. Can you imagine? And here's the thing about this just useless. Everybody who's reading this knows the Legion origin story is like one page. It's like, oh, there were these three teens. They were from different planets. They were on a shuttle with RJ Brand and they saved his life. He was like, "Oh, let's make a team." The end. So instead, we get this drug out, overdone, like RJ Brand, the Durlin, and these are the names of all these random Durlins that no one cares about. Sorry, Durlins. Not to insult any of our Durlin listeners, but RJ Brand. This is Theg's sister, Jay, and then when he leaves the kids with G, and then like yeah, I don't care. Like I don't care about any of this. What's going on with Mordru? We've got Glorith that we really don't know much about. That you're making her the main villainess of the piece, and we can explore all these fun things.
But Patrick,
I elevated our ranking on the last three issues because stuff was happening, and then immediately we throw a stick in the spokes and we lose all progress.
you can't have a shadowy background figure who's not even in the shadows nor anywhere else, actually. Because Glorith isn't even fucking mentioned anywhere, is not having any panel time. Like, how is that gonna eventuate? I mean, I think we get an annual at some point, but like, this is just absurd.
Yeah, where's the tension is completely gone, right? We had this tense issue where they had a negotiation so Cosmic Boy could get the team off Tharn. We convinced Mordru that, don't murder us all and martyr us. And immediately that momentum is completely stopped with this in its tracks. We don't have anything that has to do with Glorith. And going back to the last panel, because you're right, one of the only things that happens in terms of the actual story that we've been following is we find out that Laurel Gand and Rond Vidar have a baby girl named Lauren. Now, wouldn't it have been nice and such a much better reveal if we had already established the fact, as we will in a few issues, that Laurel Gand has a long time history with Brainiac 5?
So
Now,
you've
longtime
ruined
readers
the
may have
drama.
assumed,
They've
yeah,
ruined the drama. Like,
did
I
you get
already
that
know what.
before? Like, I didn't really understand at the time because, like I said, I've only read this through once a long time ago. So in my reread, but I already know all these things, right? I know Laurel Gand is a pastiche of Supergirl. So yeah, longtime readers may have assumed that she had a relationship of some sort with Brainiac 5 because Supergirl did. But we don't know that for sure, right? And that hasn't been established. So, sort of the reveal that she has a baby is a little bit of a big deal. The reveal that Ron Vidar is the father, not the husband, the father. Oh, okay. But the fact that Ron Vidar is Brainiac 5 is probably one of his best friends, and that he's the one who is the father, would have been much better shock value wise if we had just adjusted the timing. It's the
Just
timing
perhaps
is
put
terrible.
put this page at the end of the next issue, and that makes the next issue an all-time top 50 Legion issue.
Is the next issue the Laurel? Yeah, the
Yeah,
Laurel Gant issue. I couldn't remember the order, but you're exactly right. You're just so wrong. Like what? I don't know. Like, okay, you reveal this right, and then you read the next issue a month later, and then you go, "Oh my God, my head's blown from the issue I read a month ago." No, that's not the way it works. That's just not the way it works. So, I don't know. Is that, a lot of this I do feel like is driven by Keith. Like I feel like it was almost like let these two fanfic people write this so that I can be the boss and just boss them around. And maybe they got more involved than he realized or something. I don't know exactly how that all went down. Because in my head, because I like Keith Giffen and I like some of the stuff he's done, especially plotting wise. I don't always like his corny dad jokes. I don't like the overabundance of comic relief, but I love his art and I do like a lot of what he does writing wise when he sets up sort of large scale plots.
yeah.
We'll find out later in one of his issues, and I don't think I talked to you about it, but it's very heavily noted in my notes that, and I won't get into the issue or whatever, but there's one that he is sort of responsible for, but he had a different writer, and it made the corny dad jokes better. It made the comic relief characters that I had to read in multiple issues and just slog through much more interesting. I really actually enjoyed that issue. It's Starman, but
Yeah,
we'll get into that in another episode. Something
it's
the watchers can look forward to, but it really made a huge difference. Here he's paired with people that I am finding increasingly annoying and very difficult to handle. It's hard for me to believe that Keith Giffen, pro that he is, and I don't, like I said, I fault him for certain things. One thing I don't fault him for is timing and layouts and sort of the revealing of a story. So I feel like in my mind it's hard for me not to blame the Bierbaums for this. Like this is an atrocity to put, and I don't say that lightly. We did not talk about this, by the way, folks. I forgot that this had pissed me off so much since I wrote the notes, but it's an atrocity to reveal Ron Vidar as the father before when you're going to establish in the very next issue that she has a long-term relationship romantically with Brainiac 5. I'm done. Like that's it. I'm done.
all right.
Sorry.
So where are you going to open the bidding on this? Is this
Oh
is this?
God.
Let's put it this way, Patrick. Do you like this better than Amazo?
Oof, it's tough. Yeah. Do I? No, I don't.
So
You know
in
what?
so
I
I've
don't
got
think
an
I
app
do.
that I rate the comic books on, and it keeps track of my collection. And I rated this 1 star, and I said in the comment that I gave it 1 star just for the Chris Sprouse artwork. So like,
Or sometimes you can to rate, you cannot even you have to give at least 1 star.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I don't know if in yours, I actually, in retrospect, especially my trade paperbacks, just a side note, I really wish that I have been doing that, because sometimes I'll be teased into rereading something and then I'm like, oh, why didn't I rate that so that I know that it seems like a good idea and it's just not really worth reading. And then so I never know what to go back and read in my collection. So anyway, um, yeah, uh, Housewives and Convertibles, Batman 315. Um, there's no way I'm gonna get above that. You know what? I like Amazo, and I just for having the cast of characters. I'm a huge Legion fan. I can't tell you this enough. I know you know it. I like the Legion's origin story. It was like not even the Legion's origin. It was RJ Brand's origin
yeah.
story. I just felt
So
it was like useless.
so
I put it
readers,
under right under Amazo is what I would go with.
okay, that's fantastic. So readers, if you haven't heard it before, that my first sort of blush with the Legion happened to be this terrible Substitute Heroes issue that had great art. My second brush with the Legion, thinking that this would be like a good mini series to get started on, is the one where RJ Brand is sick and they're trying to find his son, and that turns out to be Reap Daggle. Like,
Secrets of the Legion, I think.
yeah, and it's an origin story retold again in this 3 issue miniseries, and like this is the straw that broke the camel's back as far as origin rehashes everyone. So yeah, there's very little to recommend this. So if you are still with us and you enjoy this content, like, follow, and subscribe. If you want to troll Patrick on the comments, please do so because he's really open to all these conversations. I'm just pleased that we haven't done any inadvertent slurs in any of the languages, Patrick. So that was at least something this episode that we managed to avoid. We will be back next time with hopefully some untarnished tarnished bronze issues. Patrick.
Can I add this? I actually don't think that this should necessarily be lower than Ambush Bug, but now that I'm looking, I think I like Supernova, or as you put in the notes, Supernova. I actually think I like the debacle that was the Avengers Supernova better than this, but I'm okay with keeping it for the juxtaposition of the art, whatever. Because in honor of the Legion's origin story that I do appreciate, but like you said, I've literally read 16 billion times. I did not need the 16 billionth and one.
Okay, so
That's all, folks.
all right, so we might even drop it down one more.
I'd say we can leave. I probably liked it better than Ambush Bug. You know, I'm not a big fan.
At least Ambush Bug was trying for something, though. This was trying for nothing and failing at it. Like,
You want to put it below Avenger Supernova
sure,
just
it's
to
super. I
stick it
think
to the
it's
beer
super
bombs?
on the yeah. Let's stick it to them. So yeah, so now we've got a new
You know
vibe.
they're watching, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, we will see everyone later once Patrick and I recover from this travesty, or what'd you call it? Abomination,
Yeah,
atrocity,
yeah, maybe that's a good one.
atrocity.
If not, that's what I meant.
Okay. All right. We'll see everyone next time.